What's going on, guys? Welcome to Dime Dropper for another 2021-22 post-game recap. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe on YouTube at Dime Dropper Podcast, Apple Podcasts, follow us on Spotify, and of course, follow us on all social media platforms at Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Dime Dropper Pod. So for tonight's episode, 2 games on the agenda, 2 LA games ending the way I want them to end. The Lakers with another loss and the Clippers with a W. So, before I get started tonight, I want to say that tomorrow I will be having 2 spaces on Twitter. I hope to see you guys there. The first is my original regularly scheduled program weekly, Dimes Bank, where you can literally come up with any team, your team. If you want to talk about the Charlotte Hornets, you can come up and talk about them. If you're a real fan of that team and you watch your team every single game, I would love to hear about it. We also have a lot of history talk in there. Old school fans will come in. Last week we did Carmelo Anthony versus Paul Pierce, and it was really fun. Really good conversation. And then, so we're going to have that. So you can come up. Anybody can come. Anyone can talk. And then later at night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, the Twitter legend, Ricky G, and then a Warriors fan, Jason, we're going to be co-hosting a space, the 3 of us, and you get to ask Ricky G any questions. So that's going to be hilarious. I think it'll be a great time. So check us out, 7 o'clock tomorrow. Let's get into the good stuff tonight. The Lakers and the Mavs we're going to start with tonight. So Luka, Doncic, and crew, I've been playing great basketball this season. Their defense is much improved, as I said in my mid-season recap with my boy Shane. So if you guys want to check out what I'm thinking about every single team at this stage of the season, go check out that mid-season recap. Has a little over 100 views right now. As it's timestamped, so whatever team you want to hear me talk about, it's there. So make sure you hit on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well if you're listening to the audio version. So timestamps are all there. Any team you'd like to hear about. And I talked about the Mavs and their defense. And tonight was my first time watching them with Spencer Dinwiddie, since the Porzingis trade and the game where Spencer Dinwiddie played. Because when we played them, Clippers played them right when they made the trade. So Spencer Dinwiddie hadn't come yet. And neither had Davis Bertans. So I got a chance to see them tonight. And in the beginning of the game, the Lakers went to and by the way, they embarrassed themselves with maybe the worst performance of their entire season, which I feel like I'm saying that every week now. Look at the New Orleans Pelicans the other night, who, as Shane and I talked about in the midseason preview or in this midseason recap, I was going to say, make sure to leave comments and likes on that thing for the algorithms. Same with this video, every video. We're slowly starting to get back into the swing of things. Got to get back into that bigger crowds, hopefully for the playoffs. But thank you to all you guys that have been here every single night, supporting my content, whether it be on Twitter or on the YouTube lives. Really appreciate you guys. You already know how it is. And one day I will pay you guys back. I promise, when we spam. So let's get into the game. Sorry, I was just taking a look at the stat sheet, plugging my computer in. Don't want it to die on me. But let's talk about the game, right? So the Lakers made an adjustment tonight. And every single night, it feels like they have a new starting lineup. It's like this is the first time they've played this starting lineup. And a large reason that is because Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and LeBron James have just not been able to stay healthy with among the 3 of them. And mainly Anthony Davis, of course. But the thing is, tonight they started with an all-small lineup. You expect a switch everything heavy scheme. Stanley Johnson at the 5, LeBron at the 4, and then Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, who was inserted back into the starting lineup after being on the bench for a couple games, and I did not like him off the bench. If I'm a Laker fan, I thought he really lost that rhythm, the touches that he had, and he really is great to have out there with LeBron and Russ because he's a clear floor spacer. He actually moves without the ball better than a lot of players in the Lakers, which is not saying much at all. They're extremely stagnant off the ball, and we saw that tonight. But he's such a threat off the ball compared to the other players in the Lakers. And he's shown capabilities of being able to play make. And he's the only one in transition this season who has seemed to score consistently outside of the occasional LeBron run out. But, Russ has also had a really tough time finishing around the rim this season compared to most seasons, especially in transition. But the switch everything scheme for the Lakers actually worked out pretty well in the first quarter. I thought that they held their own pretty decently. And a large reason that is another problem, in the modern NBA that I think a lot of fans overlook when we talk about the skill of players. Dwight Powell, he's good at what he does. He gets rebounds. He's got good length. He's a decent rim protector from what I see, but I haven't noticed him be too crazy at all. Like he doesn't really offer that much resistance for how tall and how much length he has and how tall he is. But you know what? Maybe he's been really good this season. So Mavs fans, if he has, comment on that. I think he's a decent player, but I haven't seen enough from him to say he's been great this season. So if he has, comment that. But Dwight Powell, for the most part, he wasn't able to, he doesn't even look for the ball. He's got Russell Westbrook on him on several switches, and he doesn't even look to score. He clearly has no confidence back to basket, taking advantage of mismatches, which is what I talk about. Is the NBA getting better? That is the main thing overlooked. I don't care if guys can do tween, cross, step back from the foul line, facing up at that height if you can't do the small things. And I'm not even saying Dwight Powell can do either of that. And I'm not even saying Dwight Powell is a bad player, but I just can't shake my head. I think people need to look at these things when looking at the grand scope of the league and how it's changed over time. Regardless, Luka started thinking, as the quarter went on, look, I'm gonna try to get going right now. They're switching everything, so that means they're trying to get us to play ISO ball. So who's the best ISO player? Whose team is this? This is Luka Doncic's team. It's my team. And he was mixing some fools. Everybody was taking a crack at him, whether it be LeBron, whether it be Russ, Stanley Johnson, and he was getting by them for fun, drawing fouls. Even Dwight Howard came out and guarded him on a couple possessions, and he drew fouls. And Luka, they showed that he leads the league in first quarter points, and he had a good first quarter again tonight with 7 or 9 points, maybe even 10, getting to the basket. His three ball was not falling tonight, but he was, making sure he got to the basket. And Luka, it's really impressive watching him because of the way he kind of counters and just reads the defender really well. If he's giving him his right hand, he goes right. If they give him the left, he goes left. He's got the step back. If they're sagging off, he takes a step forward and then hits that step back, on that left-hand side or stepping back left, which he loves. But I actually thought the Lakers had some really solid possessions in that first quarter offensively. Their first basket of the game was on a lot of ball movement. Many people touched the ball, extra pass. Stanley Johnson made the three. And Stanley Johnson, when he's hitting threes like he was tonight, 3 of 4 from deep and 4 of 6 from the field, 11 points, what he offers defensively. That's huge when he can hit threes. The only thing is he's clearly not confident in his shot. And the defense knows this. Every team knows it, and they sag off a lot when guys like LeBron and even Carmelo Anthony have the ball, especially on the wing, and they load up heavy. And Russell Westbrook is one of those players as well that they sag off all the time because they know that those guys aren't threats, and they're very comfortable with them getting the ball and firing away. So the Lakers, though, overall held their own in that first quarter, and I thought Malik Monk was pretty impressive. He came out and got a couple of buckets, and Russ had 2 free throws early in the game, which actually got him going in that first quarter. There was one play where he went right at Luka and scored underneath, and that would honestly be the end of Russ's good shooting in this game tonight. Just that first bucket. LeBron got a couple buckets off transition. There was one play where he actually came out and guarded Luka in the first quarter. And remember, I said just a second ago that Luka's jumper wasn't falling tonight like that. Well, he missed a shot from 3, his classic step back. It was short. LeBron went out on the run out, and they found him for a dunk early on. And I thought the Lakers actually came out really, really solid. Yeah, Luka was 0 of 5 from 3 tonight. So that tells you the story in terms of what I said with the jump shot. But overall, the Mavs, when they pulled away by 5 at the end of the first quarter, it was when LeBron went to the bench, and actually, the defense just was sagging off of Russ, man, just inviting him to the basket or inviting him to shoot, really, and he would still go to the basket. And obviously, they have their angles ready. They know he wants to go hard right into your body to create the separation. And when you take the right angle and are sagging off enough, man, and you're bigger than him, like Maxi Kleba is, and certain guys are, they blocked him a couple times. And it's just a tough scene for Russ right now. He's got no confidence in his shot. It's broke. I really think, again, I'm going to repeat this, but he really needs to cut out the threes, man. There's just no reason for him to be shooting threes, whether it's catch and shooter off the dribble. He needs to resist that urge, and he just hasn't been able to do this throughout his career. And I used to argue for Russ on his side about this. Like, he's going to figure it out one day. He's going to figure it out one day. And he never has. He continues to shoot threes, even though he's an abysmal three-point shooter, even at his peak when he was really good in Oklahoma City, 2017, 16, and he could sometimes get hot. He made game-winning threes, specifically that one against Denver to knock them out of playoff contention. But it's just not there anymore. It's just not there anymore. And I don't think he should have been shooting in the first place. He never shot a great percentage from deep. But anyway, the Lakers were down 30-25 because of that poor ending to the first quarter. The second quarter, though, was where the Lakers basically lost the game because they actually played well for 3 quarters. Not great in the fourth. But the second quarter was particularly abysmal, especially on the defensive end, allowing 41 points. The Mavericks, the craziest part is they did this all in the non-Luka Doncic minutes. Spencer Dinwiddie leading the charge and looking more like the Spencer Dinwiddie that I know. Getting to the basket, getting to the foul line, and attacking certain mismatches and pick and roll. And one of those guys was Carmelo, who he got an and one on early in the quarter. Russ and Braun were actually in the game too, and they were bricking jumpers. LeBron, though, was a little bit more solid on defense than in recent games, in the first half here and there. But overall, nobody played great defense for the Lakers in that second quarter. And Spencer tried to go at Melo a couple times on those switch everything schemes in that second quarter, and that was drawing double teams for the Lakers because they didn't trust Melo on an island with Spencer. And a couple times those found guys for open threes, one of them being Jalen Brunson, who got an open three on them swinging the ball that put the Mavs up, I believe, 9 points. And then LeBron, I thought he actually came out and was doing a good job offensively of letting other guys eat. I've spoken a lot on recaps this season about I don't like when LeBron has big scoring nights, which, again, he's averaging the third most points in the league, and they lose. I think it's better when LeBron either, takes a step back and tries to let everybody eat and then picks his spots within the game throughout the game. And if he could close better, I think they would have won a lot more games this season. He hasn't been closing the way he did last year before he got hurt. Last year before he got hurt, honestly, I think that was his best closing season of any season, even better than 2020, because in 2020, I thought AD was the more of the closer that season, especially throughout the season before the pandemic started. But this season, LeBron just hasn't had that juice closing games, at all. And I think he hasn't, he either maybe, he's older, he gets tired, but he just shooting a lot, his career high attempts in three. He's not putting as much pressure on the defense as I've talked about so many times this season. And I just don't think that as I said many times, I don't think that the Lakers actually lack shot creation. I think they have lacked a consistent second guy in games that Anthony Davis doesn't play because Russ has been so wishy-washy with his shooting and his confidence and all that. But I think that Monk, THT, Melo, they bring the offense. I think as I've said all the time, it's when LeBron and Russ turn that switch up on defense. The thing about Russ is I don't really trust him on defense anymore, whereas LeBron, he's still a good defender when he wants to be. Russ is an average defender when he wants to be. And tonight was one of those nights where he wanted to be average or good on defense. I thought Russ was actually had one of his better defensive games of the season, despite the poor shooting night. But LeBron was letting guys get going, and I kind of like when he does that and takes over later, as we saw him do tonight. The only thing was the second quarter was such a shit show for the Lakers. No pun intended with the whole Jerry West thing there. But LeBron bricked the three after he hadn't shot for. And off that three, the Mavs scored in transition. And they were getting transition points when the Lakers just kind of had little droughts in that second quarter. And the Lakers called a timeout down 44-32. Kent Bazemore played tonight for the first time in a long while in terms of real minutes in the game. Real minutes. Real minutes when the game was still, in question, and, regular minutes, regular rotation minutes. And I actually thought he was okay. They went away from him in the second half. Actually, no, they didn't. I'm sorry. They went away from him in the fourth quarter. But I have to say, guys, this second quarter was one of the worst officiated quarters that I've ever seen in all my years watching Laker basketball, and 17 years watching Laker basketball, rivaling that of the 2009 Christmas game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, where the Laker fans threw trash onto the court. So many times in that second quarter, Laker players either got grabbed or held loose ball fouls not called or around the basket. Bazemore got hit in the back. He got a technical. Russ gets one of the worst whistles in the league, has had a bad whistle all season. Part of the reason why he's missed layups and lost confidence around the rim because he's not getting any calls either. There was one time Luka literally jumped on him and blocked him, got a little piece of the ball, and every outlet was posting about Luka, like not every outlet, but a lot of outlets were posting about Luka blocked Russ. That was a foul, man. He got fouled multiple times. LeBron getting held on rolls, getting bumped around the rim when he's actually fighting for decent post position. Malik Monk getting hit at the basket. It was just terrible. And it was really killing the Lakers' momentum. And the Mavs were just increasing that lead, increasing it. And they led by 16. The Lakers actually closed out the second half not too terribly, or second quarter not too terribly, and went into the half only down by, it was 71 to 56. They're down by 15. And yeah, 71 points and a half. That's just not going to get it done. But we know the deal with the Lakers, man. They just don't guard. They just don't guard. But tonight, again, with the small ball lineup that they started with, it was good. It just, they lost momentum in that second quarter. Just really badly lost momentum. And one person I actually thought had a good second quarter was Taylor Horton Tucker. He had a little injury where he kind of landed awkwardly or may have twisted his ankle on a landing, hitting someone's foot. But he was actually, scoring a little bit in that second quarter for the Lakers because they did score 31 points in that second quarter, and a good amount of those were from THT, who finished with 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting. Third quarter, though, one of the best quarters of the season for the Lakers. They came out with that same starting lineup, that third quarter. I mean, that switch everything small ball lineup, and they played great. They stood in front of the ball a lot better. They actually stayed in front of their men, slid their feet, were sharp on their help defense. Stanley Johnson was great. Russell Westbrook had some good defensive stands. LeBron really got into it on the defensive end as well, took a charge. The crowd got into it. Lakers got in transition. Russ found Malik Monk and Stanley Johnson for threes on 2 out of 3 possessions. 2 possessions on 2 possessions out of 3, in one turnover in between those threes. Austin Reeves, I thought his hustle and defensive intensity, especially like in the backcourt when, you don't even need to be playing defense, but he was just trying to get anything going for the Lakers. At one point, he drew a turnover. I think he regained the ball like once or twice for the Lakers, and he got the crowd going when they were still down by around 10 points because his effort was just great. And that's one thing, if every Laker played with even 50% of the effort that Austin Reeves brings every night, their record would really be, I think, drastically different, at least 500 minimum. And that's just not even an exaggeration. It's not even a stretch to me or, a big what if. Like, it's just a simple thing, effort. I know a lot of them are old. That's the thing. They can't bring that effort every night, but hey, it is what it is, right? But anyway, Malik Monk and Stanley Johnson combined for 13 points in the third quarter, 7 for Malik, 6 for Stanley, 2 threes for Stanley Johnson. And the Lakers cut it down to 3 before LeBron James hit 2 deep threes. One from the logo, which he's got in him, especially the last 5 years or so. I mean, he's always hit big deep threes when he's hot. He wasn't necessarily even hot on this one. He had hit a 3 in the quarter earlier, but the last couple of years since the Steph Curry era, he has started shooting those deep balls. Last 5 years or 5-6 years, and he hit 2 deep ones. Even one going to his right, where he kind of stopped on a dime. I mean, he wasn't being guarded, but he stepped into it and he actually kind of stopped on a dime and didn't fully just, he kind of squared his shoulders in the air instead of just coming to a full stop, then squaring them and then rising. And it was pretty impressive. I was his first one of the season that I've seen. And I've watched basically every Laker game. He's way more comfortable going to his left. Lakers gained the lead took the lead after being down 21 points late in that third quarter. Carmelo Anthony, I thought, actually had a really solid game on both ends of the floor. He had some good defensive stands, moving his feet and using his body well in that third quarter. And he was hitting shots and shot efficiently tonight. 6 of 11 from the field and 3 of 6 from three for 20 points, the second leading scorer for the Lakers tonight. And he was 5 of 5 from the line. So the Lakers actually entered the fourth quarter with a 2-point lead after outscoring the Mavs 31-14 in the third. But in the fourth quarter, it was the Luka show. LeBron and Melo started out well. Braun had a really nice rip through and dunk when the floor was spread. Kent Bazemore hit one three in each half. One was right before the third quarter ended as well. Yeah, he was 2 of 2 from three, Kent Bazemore. 6 points, only played 17 minutes tonight. But LeBron, he had a nice step back too, also in that fourth quarter, around the 8-minute mark. And Melo hit a three and put the Lakers up by 5, 97-92. Then LeBron came out of the game. Lakers kind of struggled with Russ. Again, the defense was sagging off and he just kept missing. Bron, when he came back in the game, though, guys, in the last 5-minute stretch, 1 of 5 from the field and 2 turnovers after he came back in the game, after he had a really great stretch the whole second half before that. And, they were loading up on him a lot tonight, LeBron, as I said before, and he was looking for the right passes, obviously taking a little while on some plays, but I actually really like the way LeBron played tonight. He just has had problems closing this year, as I've said. Can't get to the rim. Obviously people are loading up. He's also not trying to get to the rim as much. I think that sometimes he doesn't go to the post enough late in games, but tonight he was going to that elbow. He took a contested mid-range that he had made earlier in the quarter, just didn't make it. Just seems to go, he's been going cold, it seems. I'd love to see the clutch stats, but LeBron, whether the clutch stats and the field goal percentage department are good or not, he's just not done a good job taking the Lakers home this season. And Russ hasn't either. And I think a guy that took the guys home was Luka Doncic, and everything turned to me for LeBron and the Lakers in that quarter. Not for the Lakers actually, but more for LeBron individually in that fourth quarter when he turned the ball over when he came back in, and the Mavs scored right off of it. Dwight Powell got a dunk, and that put the Lakers gave the Mavs the lead again, 101-100. And after that, Luka Doncic did something that I have not seen somebody do, and that is he hunted out LeBron James on pick and roll. He knew that Lakers were switching everything, and there was Malik Monk out there. There was Melo out there. He wanted LeBron. He wanted his idol. He wanted to prove a point. And D Wade made actually a really excellent point inside the NBA postgame. He was saying also LeBron's the best ball hawk off the ball, and he does shoot the gap and get steals. So to put him on the ball is a great idea, especially when you have no rim protection. So genius strategy, whether it was by Jason Kidd or Luka. I do think a little bit was like Luka trying to go at him on one-on-one as well. Because LeBron, especially at this stage of his career, not good on the ball, really. He's not a great lateral defender. He plays angles well and has the signature, let you get by him, and then he pins you off the glass. But overall, he's not a great on-ball defender. And I even think at his prime, he would do it in spurts. And, obviously the famous Derrick Rose 2011 moment where he really locked in and played great lateral defense. And, he used to sit down in Cleveland here and there, but I still wouldn't have, even at his best, I'd consider him more of a great off-ball help defender than one of the best on-ball defenders in the league ever. I'm sorry, ever. I shouldn't use ever. I meant at that time, But regardless, Luka, the first one was a shot falling away to his left, one-legged fade, classic, which LeBron actually defended well there. Very next time down the court, he gets by him after dancing a little bit, just reading his defender really well. It's easy to see, a guy should go right. Oh, he should pull up right there. He's giving him too much space when we're watching on TV. But when you're out there playing against league guys with, 7-foot wingspans and are 6'8" like LeBron, it's easy to see it from here, but it's harder to do it out there. But Luka, he sees everything we're seeing watching it on TV. You know what I'm saying? It just goes, the best players in any era, they see it in that slow motion. And Luka, he does, man. He's just so methodical with what he does, and he just reads his defender beautifully. As I said, they give him the right hand, he's getting to his right hand. He got by LeBron, lobbed it up to Dwight Powell for a layup. Next time down the court, gets LeBron in that switch again. Gets right by him again. LeBron trying to use hands, toss him off of him, gets in the lane for a floater to put the Mavs up 5. And then the Lakers, Melo got a good look at a 3. LeBron set him up nice, and he couldn't get it to fall. And the Lakers slowly flamed out as they lost the game 109-104 after another attempted comeback. They only scored 17 points in the fourth quarter to the Mavericks 24. Russell Westbrook. Outside of Westbrook, the Lakers shot 49% from the field and 46% from 3. So that could be a little bit of the difference in the game as well. Westbrook. The Lakers actually shot well from the foul line tonight, which is rare. 16 of 20, 80%. So a very unfortunate loss overall for the Lakers, but the Mavs were the better team, and Luka closed the deal. 9 of 21 from the field for Luka. As I said, 0 of 5 from deep, 7 of 11 from the line, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists for him. Jalen Brunson was fantastic. Shane said he can be the second best player on a second-round team, and he looked like that tonight. 22 points, hit some tough jumpers. Hit 1 3 to cut the deficit in half from 194 to 197 with a hand in his face, or a solid closeout by THT. So 9 of 15 for Brunson, 60%, and 4 of 6 from 3, 66%. Dwight Powell, 13.7 rebounds on 4 of 4 shooting. Reggie Bullock also, the stats won't show it because he had 7 points on 2 of 9 shooting, but he had some really nice defensive plays. A block that went off the foot of a Laker that gave the ball to the Mavs, and they're making when they were late in the game, coming back from when they went down 6 points. And he guarded LeBron pretty decently on certain possessions as well tonight, and various guys. Dorian Finney-Smith, I always say he's one of the X factors for the Mavs. When he's knocking down his shot, it's huge because he always plays good defense, or, is one of their better defenders. 16 points and 9 rebounds for him tonight. 6 of 10 from the field and 3 of 7 from deep. And then Spencer Dinwiddie off the bench, 14 points and 9 assists on 5 of 11 shooting and 2 of 5 from deep. So I thought he was really impressive. For the Lakers, LeBron, definitely the best player for me tonight for them. 26 points, 12 rebounds, 5 dimes, 4 turnovers, though. So again, not really too much in the playmaking category. Not a great playmaking night for him. I thought he just got better as the game went on. I thought he let guys do their thing in the first half. But overall, decent game for Bron, pretty good. Westbrook, I thought one of his better defensive performances of the season, but and 8 assists to 0 turnovers, but that 5 of 17 and 0 of 4 from deep is just tough. 12 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, 0 turnovers, as I said. Malik Monk, I thought he had a solid game despite the pretty inefficient night. 5 of 14 from the field, 3 of 6 from deep, 17 points, 5 boards, 4 assists. Reeves, even though he had a good game, +7, he only had 2 points on 1 of 6 shooting and 0 of 3 from deep. I already said Melo, 20 points. And then THT, 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting. But 104-109, the Mavericks beat the Lakers, move on at 37-25. They're really playing great basketball of late. Lakers dropped to an abysmal 27-34. They're moving closer to the Pelicans in record than they are the Clippers, who we are about to talk about now. I'm sorry, guys. I got home towards the end of the first quarter, but I saw the second quarter and we really went cold, but I like the shots we were getting because the Rockets, they just don't play defense, and they're going to give you a lot of opportunities to stay in the game because they're not a good team. They have a bunch of young players who are learning things right now, making mistakes, shooting a ton of jumpers and threes, and, don't seem to communicate on defense much. 13 of 39 from deep for the Rockets tonight, 33%. Like, we'll just live with it. We'll totally live with it. And in the second half is really when we made our mark. I was really getting frustrated, though, in the first half, and I've been really getting frustrated all season with the amount of disrespect that Ivica Zubac receives from officials in this league. I know he's not a star, and he doesn't garner that respect and scrub, and they treat him as such. And they've been doing it for 3 years now, especially this year when Zeus really made an effort to be more aggressive, to a lot of times just try to dunk. He had a stretch for a couple of games where he was literally just trying to dunk when he was around that, inside the restricted area. And he has, for the most part, been aggressive around the rim and tried to get physical and has jump hooked a lot of guys to death lately. No, I shouldn't say to death, but jumped hooked a lot of guys lately in the low post. But, a lot of times they go down there and he's getting bumped, chucked, slapped, and even on the glass, and they don't call anything. And it's gone to the point where I tweeted it out tonight, but I'm going to give them one more chance, these officials. I see any more bullshit, and I don't mean on one possession, I mean consistent stuff throughout a game where they're not giving my guy calls, I am going to drop a little bit more dough, sit close to the game, and I'm going to heckle shit out of these refs till I get a warning until they start giving, until they hear me, what if it's Zubats, because it's getting out of hand. It's totally getting out of hand. But my guy still put up great numbers tonight and had a great game. The player of the game, 22 and 12 for Big Zoo. My boy Spencer, shout out to my boy Spencer in the YouTube chat right now. He always calls him the X factor for the Clippers. And when I think he's been pretty consistent this season, Zoo, but when he plays well, we have a much better chance of winning. The guy I've been calling the X factor for the Clippers, Marcus Morris Sr., thought he was really good tonight. He's been playing great since Paul George went down overall. He had 18 points, 4 of 6 from deep, 6 of 14 overall. Third quarter is where we made our mark. 40-25, we won that quarter. We blew the doors off. And that was Reggie Jackson starting to get going. I'm wearing that Reggie Vision shirt. Shout out to my boy Ernie, Trinity Skate Apparel. I believe is his brand. Check him out. He makes Clipper merch, the clip set. That's all him. Best wishes to him. His mother just passed away, so shout out Ernie. Clipper Nation, always got to look out for one another as usual. But Reggie Jackson, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He was really starting to get that floater going, get that 3-ball going. 3 of 5 from deep in the game for Reg, 6 of 16 from the field. And a guy that I just thought really played fantastic tonight was the brewmaster, Amir Coffee. The Brim Reaper, build me up coffee cup, the Folger Soldier, the Seminator. He's always coming up with new stuff, like a stand-up comedian with the coffee puns. But Amir showed so much to me tonight again in pick and roll, the same way he did against Orlando a couple of weeks back, making the right reads, finding guys for shots, taking it to the basket when he needed to. And obviously Amir's always leaking out in transition and doing that part of things, as well as playing good defense and being able to switch on different positions and multiple guys on the court. Another guy able to switch on in multiple positions and guys on the court, Robert Covington, been an absolute gem that we got right now. You know what I'm saying? Norman Powell was the main centerpiece of that trade. But Rocco, he's playing fantastic. Both ends of the floor. 7 points and 8 rebounds again tonight to go along with 4 blocks and 0 turnovers. I mean, you can't ask for much more off the bench from him. And then another guy off the bench that was fantastic was Isaiah. I thought he and Zoo both were a big reason why in that third quarter we built that lead, because they were doing really well in drop coverage. They do a really good job of taking the right positions in terms of, making the ball handler that's coming off the screen think, should I throw the lob or should I take a shot? Am I about to get blocked or is he about to get to that pass? Being in between man and ball, they do such a fantastic job, the both of them. And that's something that is a skill, positional awareness. Sometimes some guys step way too far up and a little late, and just a second late with these pros, that's an easy pass. If you give them out window to pass, either it's over the top or a bounce pass, some of these guards, they'll pick you apart, especially with no help, with guys just spotting up on the 3, so it's harder for guys to drop down and rotate when you're helping to help the helper. And DeAndre Jordan, that's something I used to get pissed at him for towards the end of his Clipper tenure. He would just get caught in no man's land in between those pick and rolls a lot. And they used to piss me off big time. And then there's, guys that, over helping because they want to get a block, and leave their guy wide open, alone, even when they don't need to, when the guy guarding the ball is actually getting over the screen and doing a good job, So Isaiah Hartenstein and Zoo do a really good job of playing man and ball and that drop coverage. They've done that job all season. They've done that job consistently all season, and Isaiah was doing it tonight. And another thing about Isaiah, not only does he rebound, he had 3 offensive rebounds tonight. He was hitting that little push shot. He had 6 points on 3 of 6 shooting. And another guy that I thought was great that we got to see tonight that we haven't been seeing recently is Brandon Boston Jr. 18 minutes, efficient. He had been struggling with his shot. Efficient. 11 points on 4 of 8 shooting and 1 of 2 from 3. He knocked down both his free throws. Luke Kennard was 1 of 4. Rare, poor shooting night tonight for him in only 20 minutes. But it is what it is when everybody else steps up, right? The Brewmaster, as I said, great game from him. 10 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists on 4 of 10 shooting. And Terrence Mann, he had the highest plus minus of any player for the Clippers. His effort is just amazing, infectious. Our team just has been so solid defensively this season, communicating with each other, and the coaching staff's just done a phenomenal job. We know exactly who we need to switch on. We know exactly who to play drop on, who to hedge hard on. We just know our coverages. We're in sync, and it's just beautiful to watch. And Ty Lue, just can't say enough about the guy. 4 wins in a row for my Clips. I don't even need to talk about the Rockets stat line because it's irrelevant. They're irrelevant. They're going to be in the mud for a little while, and hopefully for them, they get a top 5 pick this year. 113 to 100 is the final score. That's it for me tonight, guys. My player of the game, Ivica Zubac, 22 and 12 for Big Zoo on 8 of 12 shooting and 6 of 7 from the line. Should have been at least 10 free throws tonight attempted. So they can kiss my ass, the officials. Around the league, the Boston Celtics continue to be on a tear. Shout out to my boys out in Massachusetts, 37 and 27. And by my boys, I mean my actual boys, not the Celtics. I'm not a Celtics fan. I respect their history, though. Jason Tatum, really playing great basketball of late. 33 points tonight on God damn it, my math is really real dumb right now. 60% shooting, 3 of 10 from 3. So that means you were 9 of 15 from, I'm sorry, Jesus Christ, my math is way off there. No, my math was on there. 9 of 15 from the field, so 60% from the field. And 30. All right, I gotta end this live before I make myself sound stupid out here. It's too late for that stuff, for that math. Jesus. But Jaylen Brown, he got injured, huh? 3 minutes played. So hopefully that's not too serious. Toronto beating Brooklyn by 1 point. Brooklyn, obviously, no Kyrie Irving in Toronto, no Kevin Durant, and obviously no Ben Simmons yet. But that's it for me tonight, guys. Never go to the live subscribers way. No, so patiently in the chat. Peace. Have a good night. Make sure to leave a comment and maybe leave a review if you like, if you're listening on the audio version. What's up, y'all? Jesus. Cameron Aselli says 38 games without PG, 64 without Kawhi. Lost every game that Norm actually did play in and was somehow 2 above 500. Kyle Dominic, you says, love your Reggie Jackson shirt. It's all my guy Ernie. Check him out, man. And love your midseason recap. Thanks, Kyle. I really appreciate that, bro. Jazz Deep Loyal says Dime had Mavs scoring 112 for $300, and they scored 38 points in the second half. Jesus. Showtime Nick says Braun sexuals be like, but he scored 26 points. He choked, and there were 2 garbage time points at the end. He also got cooked on defense. Hey, fair enough, man. Kyle Dominic, you says in any individual performance in any basketball game, it's sad that people forget how the most important factor is the win. That is facts. What's up, Spencer? Ty Baller says, from what I've seen, Dwight is literally the most average athletic big I've seen in a bit. Dude, he's like 36 years old. Right, Chowdhury says, feels like we're witnessing a passing of the torch moment. First Jokic, then Giannis, now Luka, as well as others. I've never seen Braun get repeatedly outclassed like this. Yeah, that's a great point. Jokic, though? Am I missing? Did I forget the game that the Nuggets killed the Lakers? Kyle Dominic Hughes says, for the better of the playoff product, do you want the Lakers to make the playoffs or just shut it down? Definitely not shut it down. It'd be hilarious if they missed the playoffs. That would be hilarious. But Right, Chowdhury says, I feel confident when I say that by the end of this season, LeBron will no longer be a top 5 player in the league. No hate. I just think it's evident dude has lost a step on both ends of the floor. Yeah, I'm feeling that way too. It's got to happen at some point, though. He'll still be top 10. Right, it says, I personally missed the playoffs instead of getting embarrassed by Golden State or Phoenix. Ugh, I wouldn't say that, man. That would be disgusting. That would be really embarrassing if you missed the playoffs. He said the Lakers don't deserve to make the playoffs anyway with this kind of effort on a nightly basis. That's fair. Showtime Nick says, is it safe to say John Morant's better than LeBron right now? Obviously, absolutely not even all time. I mean, the thing is, Showtime Nick, is I'll make that determination in the playoffs. Has Ja had a better season? Yes. Ja will be probably considered better by next season. Maybe. Yes, probably. But, I still favor that experience. If you ask me if LeBron had a great team around him, I still think LeBron would be better than John Morant. I just think, we'll see in the playoffs. If Ja looks a lot better than him, because in the end of the day, even if the Lakers don't get a playoff series, that playing game, you're going to have to get the best LeBron. He's going to have to give it everything he has in a winner-take-all situation. If he doesn't, then he doesn't deserve to be in that conversation with a guy like Ja. but I think he will. Yeah, Ryan said the same thing as me. We need to see him perform in the playoffs yet, as well as his way, but he's well on his way as well as these other young stars. Kyle Dominic Hughes says, I believe Golden State can beat Memphis in the playoffs by experience, but honestly, I feel like Ja is going to be great this coming playoffs. Yeah, I agree. Kyle Dominic Hughes says the true genius in this whole Ja situation is T-Mac. He's crazy that he predicted all this. Did he? When did he say that stuff? Showtime Nick says, well, Ja did put up 30 points pregame in last year's first round. I'm sorry, did put up 30 points per game in last year's first round. Yes, in a loss. Well, the Grizzlies are doing a lot better than the Lakers. Showtime Nick agrees LeBron has not closed well games at all. Right says, you're right, Darren. He hasn't been closing. He has trouble even blowing past big men, and he gets fatigued a lot quicker. Dude has lost a step. Kyle Dominic Hughes says, true, Nick. He played well as a playoff rookie last year versus the Jazz. That makes me positive he'll play well again this playoffs. Same here. I have no doubts about Ja. I mean, he killed it in the NCAA tournament. He killed it in every postseason level that he's played at that I've seen. Right says, don't understand why Vogel plays Bazemore over Ellington. Yeah, I mean, Bazemore actually did okay tonight, though. Also, LeBron taking a technical free throw instead of Melo. What was that all about? That was a clear stat padding attempt right there. Anyway, Showtime Nick said, true about the officiating in the second quarter, but I'm not making excuses, especially when they got as hot as they did in the third quarter. And like I said in my Julius Randle video, you got to play through that. Like my high school coach used to do when we scrimmaged during practice, not call fouls unless we got mauled and only told us if we got fouled so we get used to not getting calls in the game. Fair. Spencer says that he's trying to extend his career to play with his son, hence the heavy shooting, but other guys got to step up. It seemed like their spark is Austin Reeves. Kyle Dominique says, did you see that clip from Legend of Winning that the Lakers this year is about to have the same or worse record than the young core of 2018? No, I did not. He said, is Jalen Brunson and JJ Barea similar players? I actually don't think they're far off in the way they attack. Ricky Beaver says Jason Kidd is smart by playing Brunson and Dinwiddie with Luka and moves Luka around more spots on the court instead of just Luka having the ball on the top. Yeah, that's true, but he did have the ball so much on the top. It's because the Lakers are playing a switch-heavy scheme, so that calls for ISO. Some players get no respect with the referees, like Fox on the Kings. Oh, interesting. I don't watch the Kings, Ricky Beavers, but I'm going to look out for that. Kyle Dominic Hughes says, what's your takes on the recent NBA games having seconds left of the game time and taking 20 to 30 minutes of real time? They got to find a way to just get this shit done quicker, man. It's ridiculous. Ricky Beaver says Ty Lue's a brilliant basketball coach. I want him to have his full roster available for the playoffs so he can really show the league how great he is. Facts, man. He really is. Kyle Dominic Hughes says it's going to be cool when the Clippers get healthy next season. No one's going to be saying anymore that Ty Lue's getting carried. Yo, it's going to be great when we're healthy next season because more people are going to be tuning into the lives because we're going to have championship expectations again. So everything's going to be crazy every night like last year and the year before. Kyle Dominic Hughes says, Dime, question about Ja. Do you think the way Ja's looking right now is what D Rose would have looked like if he did not get injured? No. I think D Rose was looking just as good at this, if not better, in year 3. Come on. Come on, it's 2011. Derrick Rose. That's the third year Ja. This is third year Ja. Hell nah. Don't sleep yet. Is it comparable? We'll see what he does in the playoffs. But dude, this dude Derrick Rose was like tearing apart Joe Johnson, Josh Smith, and Al Horford after they had been to the playoffs for 4 consecutive seasons. You know what I'm saying? They beat the Dwight Howard Magic after the Dwight Howard Magic went to the conference finals 2 straight years. And he like lit them up. So let's not forget how great D Rose was. Daniel Clifford said, hey, Dime, how about Jaws 52 on 70% shooting? Unbelievable. You know, that play where he like caught the ball in midair on an outlet pass, on a full court outlet pass at the end of the quarter was I've never seen anything like that. And then he dunked on like that was a Kevin Johnson, Vince Carter like blend dunk, or should I just say a jaw dunk? Because he's just a posterizer. It's just he's an electric factory. I just hate that he plays for the Grizzlies, man. I just can't stand that franchise. I can never like them. But what a player, man. They are blessed. And they made the right choice trading Conley and going for the best available there. So, Darian, who in your league is the best opinion is the best player in the league right now, and who's the MVP? I'm gonna go with Embiid for MVP, but the best player in the league, man, I still think it's up for grabs. It's more up for grabs than ever before. I think it's between Steph, Giannis, Kevin, and Jokic. That's it. Embiid, if the Sixers win the championship and he wins Finals MVP, I'll say he's the best player in the NBA. But until then, if he has to get out of the second round to be in that discussion to me, because I've seen all those other guys get out of the second round. I saw Giannis win the championship. Seen KD do KD things for so many years. I still consider Curry and KD in their primes, just at the twilight of their primes. And then Jokic is starting his prime, and he's a monster. But, you know, John Len said this Lakers season is just embarrassing, especially considering their expectations. Right? Said, Darn, how you doing? I'm doing pretty well, right? I'm doing solid. He says, I still wish we could have gotten to see the big three actually string together a good stretch of games. The injuries certainly haven't helped. Well, by the way, super chats turned on if you want to drop a dime for your boy. I'm gonna start trying to find out a way to use this streaming platform I got to have sometimes guests on my lives, so not just me all the time. Kyle Dominic, you said, what do you think about Golden State Warriors recently? Should we panic? Because I feel like as a fan, I'm being too critical. No, man. Draymond's out. It's tough. You know what I'm saying? It is tough, especially when Curry comes out of games too. But you guys gonna be okay, especially with Chris Paul being out for the Suns. They're gonna lose some games. The only thing is the Grizzlies are on your tail, and I really want you guys to go down in 3 so we can play the Grizzlies if we do get that 7 spot and avoid the Warriors in a first round series if we do make the playoffs. Because at the very least, I can go to the games and not have to worry about a bunch of freaking bandwagon Bay Area fans, or bandwagon fans that aren't from the Bay rooting for the Warriors and Steph Curry fanboys. So anyway, that's it for me tonight, guys. Peace out. Make sure when I end this video though, leave some comments for the algorithms and some likes. Appreciate you guys as always every single night. Y'all rock with me. Spaces tomorrow if you want to talk to me. Be in there. Peace out, y'all. Appreciate you guys. Dime to my fam. I'll see you for the next episode. Not tomorrow, but I think we're back Thursday. Peace.